All right, guys, so we got some massive losses for Trump and Elon in the courts. Let me walk you through this here. So let's start with Politico. They say, judge rules Trump's firing of federal workforce watchdog was illegal. Decision reinstating special counsel sets up executive power fight that the Supreme Court is likely to resolve. So this is going all the way to the Supreme Court, y'all. So, of course, what they're talking about here is the inspectors general. Now, the inspectors general, just so everybody understands, these are the people who actually fight the waste, fraud, and abuse. I know that Doge is pretending, and Elon is pretending that it's him that fights waste, fraud, and abuse. That's nonsense. You know how many people have been charged with fraud since Elon allegedly uncovered a tremendous amount of fraud? Donut, zero, nobody. He's full of shit. When he says waste, fraud, and abuse, what he means is, here are some government programs I personally don't like, or government programs that keep my billionaire robber baron ass in check, so I'm going to scrap them, right? These are the real waste, fraud, and abuse fighters, along with the GAO, Government Accountability Office. So Trump fired the actual experts on that. Gee, I wonder why. Could it be because him and his robber baron buddies are going to loot the treasury? Could it be because they are going to do a whole bunch of fraud? They want to make sure they get paid? Couldn't be that, right? All right, let's continue here. A federal judge ruled Saturday that President Donald Trump's firing of a federal workforce watchdog was illegal, teeing up a Supreme Court showdown over the president's claim to nearly absolute control over the executive branch. U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson concluded that Hampton Dellinger, who confirmed last year as head of the Office of Special Counsel, may continue to serve his 5-year term despite Trump's effort to remove him from the post via a brusque, I don't even know what that word is, email last month. A law on the books for more than 4 decades specifies that the special counsel can be removed only for inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance in office. But the Justice Department argued that provision is unconstitutional because it impinges on the president's authority to control executive agencies. Jackson ruled that Dellinger's duties, which include holding executive branch officials accountable for ethics breaches and fielding whistleblower complaints, were meant to be independent from the president, making the position a rare exception to the president's generally vast domain over the executive branch. Dellinger's independence is inextricably intertwined with the performance of his duties, Jackson wrote in a 67-page opinion. The elimination of the restrictions on plaintiffs' removal would be fatal to the defining and essential feature of the Office of Special Counsel as it was conceived by Congress and signed into law by the president. Its independence, the court concludes, that they must stand. So this is the court slapping down Trump very clearly. And by the way, it looks like I was wrong. This actually isn't about the Inspector General. It's about a different position. But I mean, the same logic applies to the Inspector General. Quote, "This is not significant executive authority. It is hardly executive authority at all," said the judge, an appointee of President Biden. You know they're going to lean in on that. Which, by the way, there's literally over 70 court cases against Trump and Elon at this point, and it's not like only the Biden judges, only the Democratic judges are coming to these conclusions. No, it's also the right-wing judges. It's also the judges appointed by Trump himself that are like, hey man, you guys are overstepping here. Less than an hour after Jackson ruled, the Justice Department appealed her decision to the D.C. Court of Appeals. Spokespeople for the White House and the Justice Department did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Dellinger, a Biden appointee, welcomed the ruling. "I'm grateful to see the court confirm the importance and legality of the job protections Congress afforded my position," Dellinger said in a statement. "My efforts to protect federal employees generally and whistleblowers in particular from unlawful treatment will continue." Days after Dellinger's dismissal last month, Jackson issued a temporary restraining order restoring the Biden appointee to his position. That prompted the Justice Department to make an emergency application to the Supreme Court to let Trump move forward with the firing. The justices issued an unusual response to that request, not granting it or denying it, but declaring they were holding the application in abeyance, pending further action in the lower courts. 2 Republican-appointed justices, Gorsuch and Alito, dissented, saying they would have put Jackson's ruling on hold. The dispute is likely to return to the Supreme Court within a matter of days or weeks. So, here's one example of them saying, you can have totalitarian control. This is what they're saying. Checks and balances actually matter. Some positions you don't have the authority to fire. And again, I mentioned the Inspector General before. This is something that applied to them too, where if you're going to fire them, you need to have just cause, so you need to have an actual reason, and there's a 30-day period. You have to inform Congress, and there's a 30-day period before you can do it. Trump ignored all that, right? So, and we know what he's doing with Schedule F too, by the way. All of the career bureaucrats who are totally apolitical, non-political, and they just do the technical work of government, right? Not ideological. They also... There's mass firings there, and he's bringing in total loyalists and sycophants, right? So this is the court going, not so fast. Now, the question is, what is the Supreme Court going to do? And guys, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but the law is fake, as we've learned recently. The law is totally fake. So in other words, the Supreme Court, just because they're afraid of the future relevance of their own position, they might say, hey, he's actually allowed to do this. Because they might be afraid if we say the right thing that he's not allowed to do this, he might ignore us anyway. And in that scenario, everybody's going to know we're kind of a kangaroo court. We have no enforcement mechanism for our rulings. And so we want to maintain our power moving forward into the future. And so we might just have to bite the bullet and say, okay, yeah, Trump, you can do whatever you want, but please, let's still pretend like we're relevant, right? That's what I'm genuinely afraid of, because I'm not afraid of it with the lower courts, as we've seen, that clearly the MAGA judges at the lower courts are siding against Trump time and time and time again. So they are putting the law above personal partisan politics, which is great. But is the Supreme Court going to follow suit? I genuinely don't know. It's a scary thing to think about. If they make the right decision by the law, then this is an easy case. Super easy. All right, now let me give you some more, because this is just as important. Judge orders DOJ employee to testify in lawsuit against the Trump administration. The federal judge called the Department of Government Efficiency's work opaque, as he ordered an official to shed more light on its activity and structure. So, look, this is what I pointed out to you guys from day one. Everything DOJ is doing is completely and utterly illegal and unconstitutional. And I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that as in, not only do I, Kyle Kulinski, believe that, but the plain-faced reading of the law dictates that. And also, left-wing judges, centrist judges, and right-wing judges will all agree. Why? Because here's how the system works. Congress has the power of the purse, so a bill gets through Congress, it goes through the House, and then the Senate, then it gets to the president's desk. If the president signs it, that's it. You can't have a random bureaucrat or agency that's not even an official agency on the back end go, nah, I disagree. I'm going to cut off this funding to the Department of Education because I don't like it. That's not a thing. And that's effectively what DOJ is doing. It's the world's richest robber baron who has veto power over the Congress and the president. That's insane. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's very, very clear. And the other thing is, he has the nerve, Elon does, to be like, bro, maximum transparency, bro. Hold on. When there were some media outlets that said, here are all the members of DOJ and here's what they're doing, Elon was like threatening lawsuits. He was saying, how dare you release the information on the people who are hacking into the American people's government? Like, what? Okay, all right, here we go. A federal judge Thursday ordered at least one official from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to testify and provide documents in response to a lawsuit against the Trump administration by the American Federation of Labor and other unions. It will be the first time someone involved with DOJ has been required to answer questions under oath from an attorney outside the government, potentially providing new insights into the operations of an organization that U.S. District Judge John Bates of Washington, D.C. characterized as opaque in his order. The unions that filed the lawsuit are seeking to block DOJ from accessing Labor Department data, arguing that access to such sensitive information systems would violate the Privacy Act and the Administrative Procedure Act. In his ruling, Bates said the request for information will not overly burden the DOJ official tasked with responding to the order. The written discovery largely seeks only individuals' identities, dates, and names of systems, as well as documents that defendants' own declarations have referenced, he wrote. Bates also granted a request by the unions to hold 4 depositions with staffers at the Department of Health and Human Services, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Labor Department, and DOJ. It's unclear how much, if any, of those depositions will become public, but Bates said the unions will be limited to a total of 8 hours for the 4 depositions. Bates signaled a particular interest in the structure of DOJ and the scope of its authority, factors he said are critical in determining whether its employees are permitted by the Privacy Act to view individual information. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment Thursday night. Musk and DOJ have been the subject of more than 20 lawsuits, including one that directly accuses the organization of violating federal laws and requiring transparency. Look, I've said this from very early on. I said, look, you need to do anything and everything possible to make sure these people stop illegally hacking into our government agencies, stop illegally hacking into the Treasury, and freezing whatever funds he wants to freeze. In a world that made sense, Elon would have been arrested the day he illegally got into the Treasury, the same day. Now, we don't live in that world, and we all know that, you know, if he were to be arrested, Trump would be before the day's over, Trump would sign some order that whatever crime Elon committed, you know, he's pardoned from it, right? But that doesn't mean there aren't other ways to hold these people accountable, you know? And one of those ways is oftentimes it's not Elon or Trump directly that are pushing the buttons that freezes the funding or gets these or does steals the information, right? So what you can do is use the law to go after all of the Doge underlings or all of the government officials who are helping the Doge underlings, right? Where you make it clear, hey, look, they might be able to get away scot-free because of our fucking disgusting system, but you won't. And, you know, if it requires going after 70 fucking people, so be it. Throw the book at all of them. Arrest them. And then even if you get a situation where, you know, Trump gets to, okay, I'm going to pardon these people too, there's already a disincentive for these people. Hey, last time I tried that, I was in jail overnight, and now I'm facing other legal consequences, and it's hurting potential job prospects in the future, and my name is in all the newspapers, and I'm public enemy number one. So you know what? Maybe I'm not going to be the one to do your dirty work, right? And then there's also other things like, I mean, we should be having Democratic Congress people form a fucking human chain around these buildings that Elon and the Doge team are going in there and illegally taking all the information and freezing funding, et cetera. You should have, the doors should be locked, and you should form a human chain around it and make a fucking spectacle out of it, because that's what this is. It's already a spectacle. It's already illegal. It's already unconstitutional. They've already done 48 things that they're not allowed to do. So now the question isn't, is it illegal or is it not illegal? It's illegal. Who's going to do something about it? And if nobody's doing anything about it, well, then it's on those Democratic politicians to act and lead the fucking way. Right? And now at least we're going to get some more information. They said we don't know if it'll be public yet, but the fact that there's going to be some depositions here is a good thing. Because again, they haven't even kept their story straight. They've changed. I mean, this is why Elon is coming out and saying, actually, I got nothing to do with Doge. Because he actually doesn't want to deal with any of the legal headaches that go hand in hand with this. So he was like, oh, Elon's got nothing to do with Doge. He doesn't even know what you're talking about. In fact, the leader of Doge is this single mother of multiple kids who's vacationing in Mexico right now. And then the press contacted her and she was like, what? What are you guys talking about? So they understand that what they're doing is wrong, illegal, and unconstitutional. And they're trying to get away scot-free as much as possible. Gum up the fucking works. Jam it up, bro. That's what you got to do. There's no way around it. And so all these lawsuits are a good thing, but it's got to go further than that too. And there really should be arrests, especially for the Doge underlings, because we can't, like this, we don't have a system. We don't have a government anymore. Like I said, the law is fake. This is the fakest shit I've ever seen in my life. That they get to do whatever the fuck they want, and everybody's got to play catch up, and they're a week behind and a dollar short, or whatever, however that saying goes, a day late and dollar short. We need action. We need action. So we'll see what happens. But as you all know, Trump and Elon have been sort of abiding by some court rulings, but dismissing others. And Trump came out the other day and signed an executive order and basically said, only myself and the Attorney General can determine what the law is, which is nothing but a colossal middle finger to the Supreme Court and to the entire court system. And so, like, we're really in a bad spot here. But it's definitely noteworthy that in so many instances, when you actually have to scrutinize the actions of Trump and Doge, the conclusions are all the same. Holy shit, man. This is wildly illegal. This has to stop. And at least there are some elements of the system that are currently working. And then it's just a matter of, how do we make this stick? That's where we go next. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.